am Jill, CEO of Brand Biology this time. I don't believe we can be at a Customer Focus Live conference without a live customer in the room. And I also don't believe that we should just talk about it. I do think we need to get down and dirty today. But can we just talk about Sam for a minute? So thank you for sharing that with us. She obviously enjoyed telling us that story. I don't know if that story is typical of your organisations. I do know that some of the companies we work with, it certainly is. But I do know that her story is typical of consumers and customers. Because she's time poor, she's busy, she told the story about her kids and all the rest of it. And what she wants, and everybody's talked about it yesterday and today, and Anoop said it a moment ago, she wants it to be easy, low effort, get on with it. So why can't we do it? Why is it we're still challenged with that? Angela's told us of the thousands of complaints that she gets through Rip Off Britain. What is the problem? Well, that's what we're all here to find out. What I'd like to suggest to you is that there's something in that story that she's told us. Because Customer Heart make this promise about being there for her, for she will be the heart of the business. So they're making this promise out there in the world, and what happens is, if they let her down, that's exactly what they're doing, letting her down, and breaking that promise to her. And that promise was definitely broken. She had to wait, she was put on hold, she didn't get the call back, all of that. So she feels disappointed. She used that word a few times. She was frustrated, she was disappointed. Well, the question is, and sort of goes round in your head then, in this world, why, with all the digital stuff we've got and all the knowledge we've all got, why are we doing this to our customers? Is it a case now of, should we fix the process? There's something broken in this. Let's go back to the fact she told us the problem was she didn't notify them of her new address. So somebody said yesterday, it's always the customer's fault. But had she done that, it wouldn't have happened. But what's the problem? Why is all the effort on her side? That's what seems to be the issue here. And would that really have made her happy if the first guy had fixed it? I don't know. But certainly there's something wrong in the process. So what I'd like to just show you for a minute is something a client of ours did, because we were still working with Virgin Media, and we work with their tech side of the business. So these are the guys who turn up at your homes and they fix the fault. And before we got involved with Virgin Media, they'd spent 2 years, it was just not long after they merged with NTL, it was known as NTL in those days, and another company. And they had spent 2 years fixing the processes and being fixated, excuse the pun, on first-time fixes. Let's get out there, sort it out first time. And then they asked us to come in and said, one of the problems is, well, our NPS, they use Net Promoter Score, is not moving. So why not? What's going wrong? So we convinced them that we needed to do something about behaviour and about people. And 6 months after we got involved with them, they got one of their other suppliers who are actually here today, eDigital, they're one of the sponsors. They got them to do some research into the business. So I have to say this is statistically valid information that I want to show you, because it was done over thousands of customers. And what they found out just very, very quickly is that the obvious thing is that if you don't resolve the problem and you're not very helpful, you get a crap score. And equally, if you don't resolve the problem and you didn't do it very well, in other words, it's not noticed by the customer, it was all a bit transactional, you equally get a rubbish score. What I want to talk about is these two for a minute. Because what they also found out is that if you don't resolve the problem, but you're polite, friendly, and helpful, you actually get a neutral score, so an average of 0, which isn't great, so that's not what we're trying to do. But if you did resolve the problem and your staff are unfriendly, lying, fobbing off, whatever word you want to use, you actually get a score of -44. So I think that proves the point, and it's what Virgin Media decided is, and if we apply it to Customer Heart, even if the guys there had solved the problem first time round, she would not give them any more than a 0. So I think what's key here is, what is it that gets you to her saying, actually, I'm going to give you a positive score, and not just that, I'm going to give you a high positive score. And what this research found out is that it wasn't enough to solve the problem and be helpful, you had to get it noticed. And I think that goes back to the brand promise. You've got to deliver on whatever it is that you said you're going to do, because that's what the customer notices. That's what sets you apart. It's what differentiates you.